how are you? Hope you're well. So if you keep up with my account, then you may have noticed that I didn't post a January wrap-up for this year so far. And if you don't keep up with my account, shame on you. I'm basically a professional YouTuber at this point, so you should do that. I'm kidding. But no, I didn't post a January wrap-up because unfortunately this year has it's been a very rough start, and I've not read nearly as much as I was hoping to have read by now, and yeah, it's just not going the best for me right now. So unfortunately, that is just the case. Before I jump straight into the wrap-up, I do just want to give a disclaimer that there are 4 books on this list that I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to name them. I'm not even going to really mention them because they are in a reading vlog that's going to come out in a couple of months that I'm very excited for, and I want to keep that reading vlog a surprise. So I don't want anyone to know that I've read them until the video's out, so I won't be talking to you about them today. But know that there are 4 books that I'm not mentioning, and in total this month, and well, not this month, January and February combined, I finished 12 books. So the first book that I finished this year was actually A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I was finishing up my reread. I gave that 4.75 stars. We know what it's about. We know how much I love it. So I'm not going to go on and on and on about it, but love it. It was a great start to the year, I will say that. And then the next book that I finished on the 9th of January, and I ended up giving it 2 stars, and that book would be Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden. Basically, what this book is about is a wife stabs her husband and then has to hide away in a motel. And by the way, that's not spoilers. That's 1 literally on the back, 2 you find out she did that within the first 5 pages. Not a spoiler at all. Anything beyond that I could say would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to go into it though. Despite the fact that I gave it 2 stars, I would still recommend it because it is still a good story. There were just things about it that bothered me. I did personally think that this book was kind of badly written compared to her other books, and then of course the characters were really annoying, but it is a Freida McFadden book, so you know the plot's gonna be interesting, it's gonna keep you intrigued, and it's gonna be a page turner, at least for me, and if you have similar taste to me, that would be the case. However, this one just definitely is one of her poorer written books in my opinion. However, it was fun and I would recommend it, especially Freida McFadden is absolutely perfect if you're entering a reading slump and you just want a book that's going to grip you. Because no matter how high or lowly rated her books are for me, every single time I cannot get enough. I'm picking up my Kindle every moment that I humanly can to read the story. So yeah, and if you couldn't tell, bad month, kind of in a reading slump, still kind of am. I'm just kind of going in and out of one. Like, I'm reading a book and then it brings me out, but then the next book I pick up puts me back in one, and it's just like an up and down right now. It's very frustrating. After that, I finished Malice by Heather Walter, and I finished that on the 22nd of January, and I ended up giving this one about 3 stars. And then, according to the Storygraph preview of this book, Malice by Heather Walter is a good fit for those seeking a story that subverts traditional fairy tale tropes, featuring a sapphic romance and a strong female protagonist who challenges societal norms, all set in a dark and adventurous fantasy world. Took me way too long to realize that it was a Sleeping Beauty retelling, so that interests you. That's the other thing too about this reading slump. I'm sorry, I keep going back to that. But the problem is, I think like the first 7 books that I'd read in this year were dark, which just put me in such like, I don't want to say a bad place because mentally I was fine, but when you're constantly consuming really dark content, at least for me, it does get to me. So I just felt very somber and melancholy a lot of the time, and that didn't make me want to read because the books only made that worse. So that wasn't fun. Next, on the 26th of January, I listened to a short story. It is under an hour, and it is called The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alix E. Harrow, and I gave that 4.5 stars. It's not particularly riveting, I want to say. It's definitely more of like a slow-ish story to me personally. However, again, it is 53 minutes. It is 60 pages. If you have Prime or Kindle Unlimited, completely free, both audio and the ebook. So yeah. But the reason I rated it so highly is because, one, the story was very, very interesting, and two, so much happens in that hour. Like, that hour could have been turned into a full-length novel. That hour could have easily been 8 hours. So much happens. It was a complete story back to front. It was in second person, which was really, really interesting as well. Listening to it, it almost felt like someone was telling me something about myself that I couldn't remember. Like, I woke up and I lost my memories or something. So it was very interesting, and I would definitely recommend reading it. And it's so short. It's perfect for just if you have an hour to kill. Next, on the 4th of February, I read Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, and I gave it 3 stars. Basically what this book is about is this girl goes to be a live-in nanny for this family, and then the little boy that she is taking care of starts to draw really spooky pictures. And the thing about this book that really, really intrigued me is the pictures that the kid draws. Like, they're actually in the book. I really wanted the physical copy, but I ended up just borrowing it from the library because it's a paranormal horror. I don't read horror. I don't read ghost stories. I get way too scared. Like, genuinely, my AC turned on and I nearly screamed while I was reading it. I thought it was really scary, but I get scared very easily, so there is that. But it is a ghost story, but it's very, very fun. It's very, very unique. I was honestly going to give it 4 stars originally. However, there were a couple of things that just didn't allow me to give it more than 3 stars. The one is the fact that Teddy just didn't feel like a 5-year-old. Like, the way Teddy spoke and the way he just, like, I don't know, it was mostly his speaking, but like, he just, to me, didn't feel like a 5-year-old. But, you know, I don't really interact with children ever, so I could be wrong. Didn't feel like a 5-year-old to me, though. And then the second and basically biggest reason why I couldn't give this book above 3 stars was there were undertones of transphobia in this book that made me very uncomfortable. And it's hard to explain it. I did read through other reviews, and other people, like, agree with my thoughts and feelings on it. So this is definitely not like a me thing. Other people feel this too. But I don't want to, like, give any spoilers or anything, so I'm not going to say the specific sentences or anything that was said to give that, but there were just parts of the book where there were, like, just the way it was spoken about kind of seemed like someone trying to be backhanded a little bit, I guess you could say. Okay, so you know when someone gives you a backhanded compliment and you're like, wow, you look so good today. Today you look really good. Yesterday, though. It's almost equivalent to that, but with transphobia. So it's like they said something, but like the undertones of it were just iffy. So there is that, and that made me really uncomfortable. I did not like that at all. I don't think it was necessary in the slightest, actually, to be honest with you. So there is that. There is definitely that. But overall, would I recommend this book? I would. Just know going into it that there are undertones of that going on. And yeah, like, I don't know, I don't want to say I recommend a book that's transphobic, but because it's like undertones, there are some people that don't even really notice it, kind of thing. I did. But yeah, like, I would, story-wise, recommend it. I'd maybe say guess it from your library or something, but it's a really fun story, and just, you know, beware that that's a thing you might see in it. And yeah, but it is a fun story, and I absolutely love that there's illustrations of the pictures that she's seeing. Like, that's so cool, and I love that concept. And I would love to see more illustrations just in general, not even necessarily illustrations of like what the character's showing, because genuinely adults want pictures in books, okay? It's not just kids, let's be honest. And then on the 5th of February, I finished the sequel to Malice by Heather Walter, which is Misrule, and I ended up giving that 2 stars. So book 1 kind of ends off on a cliffhanger, so I can't really explain what book 2 is about. But basically the main character kind of does something, like something happens with the main character, and then book 2, the prologue picks up a year after that happened, and then the actual book takes place 100 years after that thing, which I didn't like. In general, this book was just very disappointing for me. I was so excited to read this whole thing because I'd really been enjoying like fairy tale-esque books because of Once Upon a Broken Heart and Garber, and I was looking for that magical feeling, and this ended up just being a giant disappointment because 1, I didn't like it, and 2, I just don't think it was that well done. And then I do actually have a reading vlog coming out about this, so I'm not going to go too into details, but I just thought book 2 was a massive disappointment. Finished it though. So next I finished Nightbane on the 15th of February by Alix Aster, and I gave that one 1.75 stars. I have a raw video coming out on that one. That book pissed me off massively. So I'm not even going to talk about it. All I'm going to say is watch my video to find out why you shouldn't read that book. And then last, most certainly not least, I finished Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia Faeries by Heather Fawcett. I gave it 4 stars. I finished it on the 21st of February, and I'm currently reading the sequel, and I love it so much. This one's also getting a reading vlog because this is one of my favorite series ever. It's just so magical and wonderful. It is a reread, and it just makes me so happy. Basically, it's about Emily Wilde, who is a researcher, and she goes to a small town. I forget which country, but it's called Harrow, I think, and she goes there to study the local Fae because she's writing an encyclopedia on Fae. There is romance in it. We love her romantic interest. She has a dog called Shadow, and there's a tiny little fairy called Poppy, I think. I don't remember the name, but there's this tiny little fairy that kind of is giving Dobby vibes, and it's just perfect. As for DNFs, I don't remember if I DNF'd any books. I did. I DNF'd 3. Completely forgot about that. Okay. One I already put out a video on. It was Icebreaker. It was just smut. It's genuinely just a book full of smut. So if you're looking for that, I guess. I don't know, didn't like it, not for me. The other book is a surprise. And then the final book that I DNF'd was truly Devious. And I'm so disappointed about this book because, listen, okay, I read book 1. I listened to it about a year ago. No, a year and a half ago at this point, and I really liked it, but the thing is I was like shoulders deep into a reading slump, so I zoned out from 20% to 90%. That entire section, no clue what happened, so I wanted to reread it, and then I picked it up this time and I DNF'd it because the writing style is just so YA. And I don't say that in a bad way because I love YA. YA is one of my favorite genres, especially YA fantasy. But this one just definitely felt for the 12 to 14-year-old side of Wattpad. This felt like the 12 to 14-year-old side of YA rather than like the 16 plus side. And the main character, like her thought process was just very quirky and just like not my cup of tea. So I'm very disappointed about it. I really wanted to read the series, but I just don't know anymore. Will I pick it up at some point again? Probably yes. I'm definitely going to listen to it. I'm not going to try reading it again. But yeah, I think it's one of those series that aren't for me. I'll give it one more shot because I really want to read it and I want to like it, so one more, but I doubt it. So as you can tell, the year has started out rough for me. I will be honest, the 4 books that I didn't talk about were good books. I liked them. They were definitely an acceleration to me getting out of my reading slump. And then Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia is kind of like final nail in the coffin of the reading slump, like getting it to go away. The book that I'm currently reading is kind of putting me back in it, but I'm hoping to just power through it a little bit, and then I'm gonna pick up a book I really, really want to read afterwards, and I'm just hoping that March is wonderful, because last year March was great. March is probably one of my best months. I read the entire selection series and it made me very happy. So I'm hoping that the reading journey goes up. I'm hoping that I read more. I'm hoping that I read better and just everything improves, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's an unfortunate start to the year, but you know what? We all can't have great starts, and that's fine, because we still have 10 more months left. So let me know how the year has treated your reading journey so far. I really, really hope that you have read much better books than I have, and I hope that you are having a grand time reading and that you're not going through what I'm going through at all. And if you are going through a reading slump, I wish you the best. You will prosper. You will read again. I get there too sometimes, where I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe I'll never read again. You'll read again. You'll be fine. So don't worry about that if you're having the same start of the year as me. But yeah, if you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.